We all have a yearning for love, but relationships can be confusing and complicated. Dr. Tammi Baliszewski says it all starts from within. It starts with a journey to center. Here's your host for Journey to Center on Empower Radio, Dr. Tammi Baliszewski.
Hi there, my friends, my people. It's so great to be connecting with you here today on Empower Radio. How is your relationship with your physical self? I know it's easy to take one's health for granted until you don't have it. When you're sick or not feeling right, there are many options available to help you find answers to your questions and challenges. There are allopathic doctors, chiropractors, naturopaths, aromatherapists, osteopaths, hypnotherapists, allergists, acupuncturists, energy workers, massage therapists, and so much more. It can be all so confusing. And while I do believe there's a time and a place for all of these healing modalities, something else I also believe is that it is vital to know how to listen to your own body, to be able to tap into its wisdom and decipher its messages. But if you've never done this before, how exactly do we begin? Well, that is the very important topic we're going to be discussing here today on Journey to Center. We are spending time with Blossom Benedict. From a young age, Blossom was plagued with multiple health problems. She had a strange digestive disorder, a thyroid condition, and by the time she was 15, she'd had several knee surgeries. Blossom felt her body was letting her down. She consulted with one specialist after another, but nothing helped. It was only when she started asking her body questions and listened to its answers that her health improved and her life started to change for the better. Now Blossom is a speaker, transformational coach, and international workshop facilitator. She is the global project director for Access Consciousness, which now has over 2,000 facilitators and reaches 46 countries. Blossom has touched thousands of lives with her dynamic presentation of life-changing tools on how to end the war with your body. Blossom has also a regular radio show called The Lightness of Change on the Puja Network across America. She has been featured on mariaschreiber.com, askmen.com, Sunshine Coast Daily, ABC Radio, and Channel 7's The Morning Show. So Blossom Benedict, thank you so much for being here today on Journey to Center.
Thank you for having me. It's such a joy to get to have this conversation.
It really is. And something I have to say that I love about you is that you empower people and help them to know what they know.
Yeah. And that really, I'd say, sums up my entire work, if we had to put it in one sentence. I believe, like you said, there is a place for all sorts of experts in every area. But that at the end of the day, we have to learn to communicate with our own body and listen to what information you have, because you can make yourself absolutely crazy trying to find the perfect expert to tell you what you need.
And I know that was the case for me. I struggled intensely with chronic fatigue and just all kinds of strange sicknesses, suppressed immune system. It was awful. And I went to doctor after doctor, and it felt, looking back, but it was probably giving my power away because I wanted somebody to tell me what's wrong with me, help me, fix me,
Uh-huh.
So, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, that was what I really wanted too, and I was looking for the answer everywhere. Like, please just tell me. Please let this be it. Please let this be it. And the thing is, it may have been it for a while. It may have been the next step, or assisted with my symptoms. But ultimately, also acknowledging that there is no answer, because 10 minutes later or the next day, your body will be different and might require something else.
So true.
And I know I wasn't raised around people who taught you to have a conversation with your body. I didn't really get that it was something that had a consciousness and you could communicate with. So,
oh my gosh, isn't that true? Because I really believe our bodies are like tuning forks, and if we know when something's wrong. But I grew up in a family, and I see this a lot with, I guess, older generations, if you will. Everybody's so stoic and, I don't go to the doctor. They will suffer in silence. And, I thought that was what you were supposed to do. But I finally got so sick, it was like, that really isn't an option anymore. I was completely incapable of doing anything. So I had to find a different way of being. And I've come to the place where it's like, I really want to care and nurture myself. But that was something I had to figure out on my own, how to do that, that it's even okay to give myself permission to do that.
Yeah. And a huge turning point for me, too, was when I began to be grateful for what we call symptoms, because it really was, by the time your body is giving you pain or giving you nausea or giving you fatigue, it's talking pretty loud.
Yes.
Our bodies start by whispering, and then I realized mine ended up screaming, like, please listen. So when I finally got to okay, so what awareness are you giving me here? What is this?
Yeah.
What do you require?
That's so beautiful, and I do think if you could just really get to that place instead of, for me, I got to the point where it's like my body's my enemy. I hate it. I was so angry, which probably just perpetuated that yelling. We were yelling back and forth, and I do think there is such information in our symptoms. And like you said, I have a saying, God throws pebbles, stones, bricks, then you get a brick wall. I was underneath the brick wall.
Yep. And that's where I was in this fighting. And a lot of people I noticed go there. So you get a migraine, and the first thing we go is like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. Like, go away. Is there anything I can do? What painkiller can I take? Rather than going, hey, what's creating this body? What is this? What could I be or do different? It may really dislike something you're interacting with, a person, a thought, food, and your body's actually willing to give you that information if you're willing to ask. Yes.
So say somebody's listening today and they're thinking, wow, this is interesting. I do struggle with migraines, or I do have this reoccurring cold, or I do have, chronic symptoms, and I am confused. How do they begin the process of really starting to listen to themselves?
Yeah. So the first thing that I give people is you have to start asking questions. And until you start focusing on how many conclusions you have, you don't notice them. So we make conclusions about our body all the time. I'm too tired to do this, or I don't feel good, or I have this disease that we then label. So any habit that you can break, any conclusion you can get out of, any question you can think to ask is a step in the right direction. So even just start with, what is this? What information are you giving me? Another question that completely changed my health, that's weird, but I give people all the time is this mine? Who does this belong to? Sometimes our bodies, they're just sensory organs. We're picking up information all around us, and this blew my mind when I was introduced to this question. But sometimes I would get pain in my body that wasn't even mine. It was an awareness of somebody else's body.
Oh, yes. You bring up something that's so vital. If you're an empath or sensitive, and a lot of people are without knowing it, it is because you're picking up on other people's stuff. You take it on without knowing it. If you don't have really clear boundaries and really that awareness, you can do that. It's like you can be around somebody and start to get a headache and find out later, they had a headache and you were kind of taking it on. I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I didn't understand that question when I was given it, but I would just ask it anyway. For every sensation you have in your body, is this mine? Who does this belong to? And I'm always shocked how many of them lighten up or dissipate to some degree. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's another thing I was aware of, not actually feeling.
Yeah, that is interesting. So those are two really great suggestions. Start asking questions and listening. And that's a good question. That's a good question. Is this mine? Who does this belong to? Mine. What is the information here? Yeah. That's fantastic. Something else that I found interesting that you kind of, you talk about and you think is important is give up the healthy game. Most people are like, well, I just need to start eating healthier. And I think they should on themselves. I should start eating differently or whatever. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest difficulties with this game is the conclusions that are in it. So in order to play the healthy game, first you have to figure out what is healthy. You have to figure out who exactly you're going to align and agree with and listen to. And then you feed that information to your body and you're continuously telling it, you should do this, you should do this. Now, if anybody has studied nutrition, to any level. I mean, I used to get all the books and read them, and there's a lot of conflicting information out there.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, it can be so frustrating. Go low fat, no. Go low carbs, no. Go green leafy vegetables, go raw, only eat raw up
Or
until
even,
5 p.m.
Eat right for your blood type. There's so many different types of beliefs and theories out there. It can be so confusing.
Yeah. So if you have categorized food into this is healthy, this is not healthy, you're actually cutting off your awareness of what your body might be asking for in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I did that I really suggest with people is notice when you start using that word, you know, I need to eat healthy today, or spinach is healthy. And if you're willing to just sort of like destroy and uncreate that point of view, return it to whoever you read it from or bought it from or whatever expert, just ask your body, do you desire this? It creates so much more space. Because again, I had all these disorders that conflicted with each other. So I had thyroid disorder, and so then I'm not supposed to eat too many leafy greens. And I had acid reflux, so I'm supposed to eat leafy greens because they're alkalizing. And just all of these things were conflicting, and I finally went, all right, if nothing were healthy and nothing were bad for me, what does my body actually desire?
And what did your body say, Blossom?
Well, you know, this is the thing, Tammy. It's different every single day.
Well, I guess that's one way of getting a varied diet, a well-rounded diet.
Yeah, and I could not keep certain things in my system. Years ago, I mean, I had the most limited diet ever. And I eat things that nutritionists would just be like, you're eating Cheetos? How can you eat Cheetos? But if I don't have a point of view and I've already asked my body and it feels light to me, I don't judge that food and I don't seem to have a problem with it. And a lot of times my body does ask for vegetables, and I drink lots of water and things that we've judged as healthy, but it doesn't always look the way we think it's going to look.
I think you bring up a really good point because, I occasionally like desserts. I like my sweets, and people are like, how can you eat like that? But I really think it is about finding balance. And I think if we deprive ourselves and we should on ourselves and we really eat what we think we're supposed to rather than what our body craves, it's almost like it gets mad, gets resentful, and then that's where the binge can occur.
Exactly. That's where you're about and eat a jar of peanut butter.
Exactly, like a whole bag of Oreos or something. But I feel like I can have anything I want. I just can't have everything all the time that I want. And if I have a couple of bites of dessert, I find that I'm really satisfied and I don't have to binge later. So I'm very, very satisfied, and I do have a very balanced diet, but probably like you, it took a long time to get to the place of really listening to my body and trusting it, because I really thought my body said the same thing. I want you to listen to me. I want you to give me what I want. And I'm like, you're going to blow up and weigh like 500 pounds. And I said, just give me a chance. And you know what? I lost weight and I've maintained my weight. It was shocking.
And that's
my
what
friend.
showed up for me as well. It's
really
incredible. And the other thing I tell people is, if you're going to choose to eat something, please don't judge it. Please don't eat dessert and say, this is going to make me fat, this is going to make me fat, this is going to make me fat. What do you think your body is going to do with it?
You go, okay, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, you've just given it very clear instructions, and it's like, oh, we can get fat if we eat this. That's easy.
That's what she said she wanted.
Yeah, and I know that sounds insane, but I mean, our body is often giving us what we ask for over and over and over. So, if you're going to choose to eat something, check in. Hey, does this work for you? Are you fine choosing this? And then really enjoy it.
It's so true, Blossom. We listen to other people and we know our relationships should be filled with kindness and respect and love, but often we don't do that for our physical selves. And I think it's so sad.
Yeah. And if you just stop and look at, a friend said once that made me laugh, if we treated our bodies the way we treat our dogs, they would run away. You know, really, and how unkind. I mean, if you just start noticing, and this is not to judge you, but if you just start noticing how many times in a day you say something unkind to your body. And my favorite tool to get out of that is just the words interesting point of view. For every
takes
point
the
of view you
judgment out.
come up with. Yeah. So you notice like, oh, my thighs are blah, blah, blah. Okay, interesting point of view. You have that point of view. Or I don't have enough energy to keep up with the kids. Well, that's an interesting point of view. I have that point of view too. And it does take the judgment out. And then the next step is just, what would it take to get back into the question? You know, okay, so what would it take to feel better? What would it take to have enough energy to keep up with my kids? Like, what would I have to do different? Questions are amazing when you start really asking them without an answer, asking them without having already answered them. It's incredible what shows up.
It really, really is. I mean, that was shocking for me. I ended up going to this healing retreat, and they had me do that very thing with my chronic fatigue. It's like, why, they said, ask the chronic fatigue, why it's there. What's the information? And I was like, well, that's weird. But I did. And what the chronic fatigue said, I found it shocking. It was like, I just want everybody to like me, and they don't. So I'm getting small. I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I went, well, that's weird. It never consciously occurred to me that that was what was going on. I thought there was just something wrong with my body, but it was that I was picking up, like you had said it earlier in the show, on the energy of others, and that people were judging me. So I was like, I'll just make myself really small so nobody hates me. But then I got, well, no matter what I do, people aren't going to like you because it has nothing to do with you. It's their projection.
Right.
So I might as well be who I really am. So the right people like me and the right people don't like me. So immediately, like the chronic fatigue started to improve. So that was really, I thought that was very interesting. It was such a turning of the tides in my reality. It's like, oh, I really can talk to my symptoms, talk to my body, and then listen without agenda and get profound wisdom.
That's a wonderful story. And I know for me, one of the things I'd been asking for in my life was consciousness or greater awareness. That's been a priority for me. So then all these symptoms showed up in my body, and I judged them, and I thought they were terrible, and I was really sick, and I was really upset about it. Now I look at it and I go, oh my gosh, my body was saying, all right, like, I'll help you get greater consciousness. My body was demanding that I listen to it and that we have a connection, which is part of what I was asking for in the world and on the planet.
Didn't show up the way you thought it was going to, but
it sure didn't. But years later, I'm very grateful for those symptoms because I was just going to keep running at 500 miles an hour and run myself into the ground. And my body was like, no, you are asking questions. You're listening. You're stopping. And now I'm very, very grateful for all the symptoms that showed up.
Yeah, because there really is such profound wisdom in our symptoms. And by going to an allopathic doctor, they suppress the symptom and then it squirts out someplace else. It's like plugging a hole in the dam and it squirts out someplace else. So what you're saying, I think, would really support people and not just coming to a place of acceptance and peace with their bodies, but friendship. Mm-hmm. Really trusting, faithful friendship with your body. It really is our friend. And I didn't know that for years. Yeah, you, me, and the planet didn't know that for years. No, I thought, because I was a model and actress, I was manipulating myself all the time to weigh less than it wanted to and didn't feed it what it wanted. And it was just a very adversarial relationship. And I guess it's no wonder that it ended up being mad and started getting sick, the pebbles and the bricks. I look back and I have so much compassion for my physical self. And, one last tool that I want to share with people as you're asking these questions is just knowing, this is the thing with your body being your friend, that the truth always makes you feel lighter, meaning whatever's true for you. And just being given that tool and that information, you can use all sorts of doctors, nutritionists, modalities, but you're looking for
what, when you hear it, actually lightens your body, lightens the space? You go, oh, that. I've always known that. And if something feels heavy, it's really learning to trust your own internal barometer. I can read a whole book on something now, and I'm just looking for the pieces that create lightness, because I go, oh, that's what's true for me.
Cherry pick. I love that. So true. So true. You know, and I feel like, I love that you're saying that truth feels light. To me, what I do is I either get goosebumps or I take a deep breath, which I guess is another way of experiencing a lightness.
Yeah, it does. It shows up in everyone's body differently. So what is lightness for you? Some people start to laugh or sigh or notice that they smile. It shows up in your body differently, but notice the things that feel true to you and how that is. And then the next time somebody says, well, you have to take this medication for the rest of your life. And I'm like, well, that's heavy. I wonder if there's another question I need to ask.
Yeah, that
here.
doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good point. I think that's amazing. Yeah, I do the same thing. It's like I read books and I don't like buy everything hook, line, and sinker. But if I get like 3-4 nuggets that I highlight and it's like, yes, you know, to help me expand in my consciousness, because that's my intention as well. I love everything you're saying. I totally agree with it. So Blossom, if people want more of you, can you share with our listeners where to get in touch with you and how they can continue getting this wisdom and information from you?
Absolutely. So I just put together a site, endingthewarwithyourbody.com, and there's a 90-minute free webinar on there all about this body stuff. We really get more into clearing the energetic decisions and lies you've bought that are keeping you from having this communication clearly with your body. And then for more general things, if you just want to get in touch with me, you can visit blossombenedict.com.
That sounds wonderful. So there was one last thing I wanted to share that I found so profound in my experience. I was telling you about the Gestalt. I did a Gestalt with dessert because my body, it's like I would eat sugar and feel crappy. And we're often told it's not good, so I was judging myself. So I would sit in the chair, and it's like, why can't I have sugar? And then my body said, you can't handle the sweetness. But oh my God, that's so true. Energetically, not just food. I couldn't handle sweetness from people. And I went, oh, I need to learn how to handle the sweetness. And now I can eat dessert, and it seems to just soak right into my body. And it's fine. It's a wonderful energy source. So that to me was another really powerful learning, just listening to your body, because it does have so much wisdom, and it really is. It can be our very best friend on this human journey.
Very, very fun.
It is fun. It is fun when it's like, wow, I can trust you. I can listen to you. It's like we're best friends now. And it's just something to celebrate.
Yeah. And that question, when I get stuck on something, I just go, okay, so what's right about this I'm not getting?
That's another great way of stating it. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to tap into that wisdom within. That's why I love this show, Journey to Center. It's like, what are some things we can do to tap into that really core wisdom, knowing, light, truth, consciousness within? So I just love everything that you've shared with us, Blossom. I think that you are full of wisdom and light, and I'm so proud that you've said yes to this journey, and that you're sharing your light and wisdom with others.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all the work you're doing. It's really fun to meet people along the way going, oh, yeah, here's another way to say it, or here's another way to look at it. It's like we all hear it when we hear it. And how many people need to offer different possibilities until people out there go, oh, my gosh, it can be easy. It can be light. It can be joyful. There is another possibility here.
I think it's true. I think we eventually, if we keep saying yes and taking responsibility for ourselves, that we eventually ascend above the cloud line. We don't have to sit in the gloom and the doom and the rain. Things start to get lighter and easier and clearer. Like you said, things start to lighten up, and we can start to experience the sunshine and the rainbows. And it's there for all of us. It's there for every single one of us. We just have to take personal responsibility.
Absolutely. I have a radio show, and it's called The Lightness of Change, and it really is just this possibility. Goodness, we think change has to be heavy, and what if it was just following what was light for you? And you really know, and there are people changing on the planet around you, so even if it feels impossible, even just going, oh my gosh, it must be possible, so what would I have to do or look at or consider? So Very grateful.
I love that. I love that. I think if we just trust that the universe is a safe and loving place, we can relax and not be so afraid of change. We can trust it. To me, that's what it's been. It's relaxing into this faithful, trusting relationship with the universe and with my body and therefore with other people. Oh, this has been fun. Yes, you've been
sure
amazing.
has.
Yes. Well, I'm so honored to connect with you and just keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. It's been fun connecting with you, and I'll have to follow your show, see what other wonderful bits of wisdom you're putting out into the world.
Oh, it's just fun. And to my listeners, I hope you got value from Blossom. I know I did. Please keep up the conversation. Come to my website, tammybphd.com. Listen to my guided meditation. Write me with any questions, comments, thoughts. Just love from my heart to yours. God bless. Onward and upward. Bye for now.